Hello, listeners. Welcome back to another Ask Me Anything segment. I'm Kyira, and today we're answering a question that takes a lot of courage to say out loud. I want to honor how brave it is to name patterns in our relationships and to share those with other people, because so many of us experience them and we feel a little too ashamed to admit them or to share them out loud. This week's listener writes, "My partner and I keep getting stuck in the same arguments. It usually starts with small things, like how plans get communicated or whether someone followed through on something they said they'd do. But somehow it escalates every time into this big fight about feeling disrespected or someone not caring for the other person. I know on some level these things aren't worth all the energy we spend on them, but in the moment, it feels impossible to let it go. I get so caught up in trying to prove my point or win the argument, even though what I really want is for us to feel like we're on the same team again. Why does this keep happening, and how can I learn to step out of this cycle?" Now, I want to say again, naming this pattern is huge. It's one thing to feel stuck in it, and yet another to step back and wonder why it happens and how to change it. That reflection alone shows how much you care about doing things differently. So let's get into it. Part of why these patterns are so sticky is because small issues often act as doorways to deeper stories about safety, love, and respect. When someone forgets to follow through or communicates in a way that feels dismissive, it can touch on an old wound. The fear you don't matter, that you're not valued, or that your needs aren't important. Once that deeper fear gets activated, your nervous system goes into protection mode. You start scanning for evidence that you're right to feel unseen or unsafe. That's why even if your rational mind knows this isn't really about who texted back, your body feels like it's about everything. That's also why it feels so urgent to prove your point. Because if you can just be understood, maybe you can feel safe again. Now, you mentioned wanting to feel like you're on the same team, and that's such an important insight. When arguments become about winning, there's no team anymore. There's just two people trying to defend themselves from feeling hurt or ashamed. One way to start breaking this cycle is to name in the moment or after what's really happening underneath the content of the fight. You might say, "I notice I'm getting really focused on proving I'm right, and that's usually because I feel like I'm not being heard or that my feelings don't matter." This doesn't mean you have to excuse hurtful behavior. It just means you're shifting the focus from who's right to what's true. It can also help to practice pausing when you feel that wave of urgency to keep arguing. Even taking a breath or stepping away for a few minutes can give your nervous system a chance to reset. And when you come back together, you can approach the conversation with more curiosity and less defensiveness. Now, another thing you might want to try is agreeing with your partner ahead of time on what you both value in conflict. Maybe it's staying connected, being honest, or remembering you're on the same team. When you name those shared intentions and values, it's easier to come back to them when you feel yourself sliding into old patterns. Now, most importantly, I hope you can be gentle with yourself about this. Just because you get caught in these loops doesn't mean you don't love each other or that your relationship is failing. It means you're both carrying histories and sensitivities that deserve care and understanding. So to anyone listening who feels stuck in these repeating patterns, you're not defined by these moments. You're learning and unlearning. And it's okay that it takes time to do it differently. So again, let's focus on that next 1% change, that next 1% step that we're going to put into action this week. And I will see you again for the next episode.